You're watching What Happened, a daily series that talks about what's happening in the world of video games. I'm Graham Hamilton, and today we're talking about Scott Cawthon's announcement that he might be putting the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise on hold. I should say right off the top that a lot of people think that this might just be a prank, and there's a lot of evidence that it might just be a prank, but I'm going to address this story as if it was literally true, because at the moment, it could be. And maybe it's kind of telling that people are actually kind of inclined to think this might be true. The Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, obviously, I'm sure you know, it's been going on for a long time. There's been many games, and it's kind of developed a bit of a reputation for having like a new game every year, or almost every year. Something new from Scott Cawthon on the regular, right? Either something new from Scott Cawthon, either just being released or about to be released. So, Sister Location came out not that long ago, and apparently Scott has been working on a follow-up, which he's saying, could reasonably be called Five Nights at Freddy's 6, but then just suddenly, he came out and announced, I just don't want to work on this. He says, for the last month or so, I've been dropping hints about a new game, and it's true that I've been working on one, but after forcing myself to keep working on it day after day, I realized I just don't want to work on it. He goes on to say, with each game's release, I think the expectations get higher and higher for the next, and rightfully so. He then says, I fear that I've been neglecting other things in my life for the sake of trying to keep up with those mounting expectations. So he's decided to stop working on it entirely and to shelve it. Again, this might just be a big prank. But even to the casual observer, this is clearly true. The Five Nights at Freddy's franchise was extremely successful early on. That first game was revolutionary and built up a massive following. And arguably since then, the Five Nights at Freddy's property has kind of been catering to the same group of people every single time, right? I don't know how many new fans are coming on. I mean, I'm sure there's loads, but I think most of us know whether or not we're interested in a new Five Nights at Freddy's game, and with one notable exception, they've all been kind of the same kind of thing. That's not a bad thing. I actually think it's annoying sometimes when my favorite franchises diverge too much from what's normal, right? I like a little bit of variation, and it looks like Five Nights at Freddy's does that, has been maintaining variation from one title to the next. But, if you make a really amazing first-person shooter that I love, I would prefer if the sequel wasn't suddenly a platformer or like a match 3 puzzle game, right? I'm kind of hoping that the next game is maybe a little bit different, but is mostly just an improved version of whatever I played before. But at the same time, Five Nights at Freddy's has developed a very specific community that really digs deep into the lore and the storyline behind those games, and I've seen for myself that the fan base can get kind of intense and rabid. I'm sure that Scott Cawthon, for as friendly as he is and as much as his fans love him, I'm sure he gets a lot of abuse and a lot of very mean comments when he makes something that isn't to their taste. And in fact, we all got to see this for ourselves when he released that Five Nights at Freddy's World game that was a massive departure, totally different kind of thing, and it just fell completely flat. And there's a lot of reasons why it might have fallen flat. It certainly didn't appeal to me that much, I'm sorry to say, but if you were paying attention like I was, not all of the Freddy's fans took kindly to Scott's experimentation. And even now, I'm seeing comments from people complaining about how, they want him to give them more of the lore, more of an explanation as to what was going on behind the scenes in all of those Five Nights at Freddy's games. It has this mysterious, dark tone to it, and apparently a lot of people don't, care for ambiguity. They want this franchise to end with an outright explanation of exactly what everything meant, what everything was, all that stuff. So even if it probably is a prank, certainly seems like it could be, if Scott really feels this way, it wouldn't surprise me. And what else could he do if he was sick of working on this franchise? It is his creation, it is his product that he's put out there year after year, but what happens when you have a fan base that starts getting more and more and more demanding, and you feel more and more constrained by their expectations. I get the impression that this exact same thing is happening with George R.R. Martin with A Song of Ice and Fire and the Game of Thrones stuff. It seems like, heavy weighs the crown of a really successful creator, right? It's fun as a fan to feel that sense of ownership over something and to have an investment in how it turns out, but it's very easy to fall into the trap of demanding that the creator of that property cater to you and deliver exactly what you or I want, as opposed to whatever's in their heart. But I'm curious to get your opinion. Are you a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's? If you're not, do you at least have some sense of admiration for the artistry that Scott has shown? He's one of the most successful indie game developers in the world, and I think that's kind of overlooked a lot. So if you out there, the people that don't like these games at all, can, agree with me that he deserves some respect and admiration for what he's managed to build over all these years, then let me know in the comments, because apparently there actually aren't that many of us. In addition to all the comments that I saw from fans of Five Nights at Freddy's, there was an equal number of comments from people that hate the franchise and are apparently glad to see it die. And I think that's just kind of mean and weird. But that's where I'm going to end this episode, actually. Some people commented to me privately that they really liked some of the middle stories and stuff from the last few episodes that they weren't able to easily share because obviously they're right in the middle of a 18-minute video. So I thought, why not try just doing one story per episode and see how that goes, right? The game represented in the thumbnail is now the only thing that we're talking about. So if you like this new direction, let me know. And if you like the video, hit the like button, and if you want to make me feel good, hit the subscribe button as well. You know what? In one of these episodes, I'll actually figure out a normal, non-awkward way of asking for people to subscribe to this channel. I don't quite have that down. But anyway, I'll see you tomorrow.